All right, all right. Yo, 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 what it do? What it do? It's your boy Yellow the Poet, and I am here today with Mr. Jem Fuller. He's an author. He does oh my goodness, he's wearing so many hats. We're gonna have to definitely get into it. He's a tattooist, kindergarten teacher. He's done so many other different things. Oh my goodness. Jem, we're gonna have to let you take it from here and let us know all the hats that you wear. And please, by all means, give us the details on what's going on today.
Hey,
Welcome,
hello.
welcome, welcome, welcome to YTP Entertainment. We appreciate you,
Hey, man. So good to be on your show. You and I have been teeing this up for a while, man.
Yes, we have.
Apparently, it's meant to be right now. Apparently, this is meant to be the moment, man.
Yes,
It's so good to meet you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of hats, dude. There's been a lot of hats. I mean, maybe I should start with the present moment. The present moment, the hats. Father. I've got two beautiful young men. My boys are just about to turn 19 and 17. Beautiful young men, and I'm
awesome.
a partner. I have a beautiful woman in my life and a wonderful relationship there. And she has two teenagers, a beautiful girl who's 15 and a younger boy 13. So between the two of us, we've got the full kit,
A full family.
a full family of teenagers, man. And that's beautiful. We love our kids very much. We were actually just at a world music festival this last weekend with the
Awesome.
two older boys. And I don't know if you've ever heard of WOMAD, but it's a world music festival. And just to give you an idea, it's 4 days of live music and there's 7 different stages. And you can go from one stage where you've got on that stage a Mississippi blues man, and then you can go to the next stage where you've got an African choir, and then you can go to the next stage where you've got a German dancing band, and then you go to the next stage and you've got traditional Pakistani Qawwali devotional players, musicians, all world quality. So there's this big music festival, and we had the two older boys with us. So lots of dancing to music and hanging out as a family, and
Awesome.
It's really beautiful, man. So I feel very blessed in my life in that way. So that's the main hat, but also look, I work as a leadership coach. I coach senior executive leaders in government departments here in Australia and in the private and not-for-profit sectors around the world. I'm also an author now, and I really enjoy writing. My first book has won some awards and doing really well. TEDx speaker, that kind of thing is the now. But when I look back over my life, man, all the different hats. So yeah, I've been a fire dancer. I've been a kindergarten teacher in Taiwan. I've been a volunteer in third world countries, a motorcycle courier, a laborer, a singer-songwriter, an actor back in the day, and like all sorts of stuff. And then I found myself in the corporate world. And I don't know, for your listeners who are not watching the audio, not watching the visual, I'm covered in ink. Like I got a lot of ink on me. I used to have stretched ears and things in my lip. I've been a punk right back in the day. So when my family and friends, yeah, you've got the ink on as well. Nice. So Yellow, when my family and friends saw me putting on a shirt and a tie, they were like, "What are you doing, man? I got to feed my kids. I need a job." So for 8 years, I actually wore a shirt and a tie, which is just so not me. But I did that, and I got into corporate leadership, and that's where I learned all of the leadership stuff as well. So yeah, man, I've packed a lot into this colorful life, and also the stuff that us humans go through. Like
yes,
the death of my father and the death of my youngest brother, the death of my best friend. The hard human stuff that we all experience. Midlife, I feel lucky now. At the time, it was very hard, but I also had a midlife crisis, which for me was a midlife awakening. It was a midlife opportunity in my early 40s, but I had to lose everything except my kids. But I lost my marriage, my career, my house, my belongings. Like I had nothing.
Yes.
Except the care of my two boys week on, week off. And I had to start all over again, man. And I had to start by repairing my relationship with myself. you know, learning to love myself and accept myself, which was a really important part of the journey.
Yes.
So yeah, man, it's been a colorful life, brother.
Oh my goodness. You know, I can honestly relate to the losing everything. I literally lost everything 3 times in my
Wow.
one time was with my ex-wife. I lost everything except for the clothes that we had on our body. So I had to start over from scratch and rebuild everything.
Yeah.
Come to find out the relationship was toxic because she was being infidelity in the relationship. So
Uh,
that's gone.
yeah.
Now, my current wife, the biggest blessing that I feel like I've ever had in my entire life, she
Yeah.
is beautiful, definitely. And she's actually on the cover of my second book, which is called Redeem Love. My first book was called When the Tears of Life Play. And
Uh-huh.
oh my goodness, we lost everything twice since we've been in this relationship. But we realized that there was some things that we could have done differently. So
Uh-huh.
we stuck it out. And now we're actually in the process. We're getting ready to buy a house. So
Oh, wow.
thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Things are
Yeah.
actually getting better. So we just working it out. We trying to make everything um basically cross the T's and dot the I's to ensure that we don't go back in that direction again. So I
Oh,
can
well
definitely
done.
relate.
And you've got each other, right? You've got each other.
Yes, indeed.
And when, yeah, I think when two people are meant to be together and they love each other so much that they are open to elevating above their ego, elevating above their selfish desires, and really consciously working out how can we expand into our potential together as a couple. When that's happening, man, you can go through anything together.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it was a
Yeah.
time where I thought that it was gonna drive her away, but she told me, she said, look, I don't know what you had in the past, but I'm not those women. When I got a
Yeah.
good man, I'm sticking there. I'm sticking with
Yeah.
him. I'm going to be by his side 100%. And she's proved
Wow.
every bit of that.
Wow. What a good human you found.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, nice, man. And look, I think it's in some way, in some kind of way, it's important to go through lows to then be able to appreciate the highs,
Yes,
and it's all part of the same roller coaster,
yes, indeed.
and for me, it's interesting, because as much as we want to be able to be resilient through the tough times and to be non-attached, right? So that we can stay in this equilibrium. Then I
Yes,
think it's important also when we're experiencing the highs, when life's really good, when we're winning and things are easy in those moments. I think it's also clever to not attach to that as well,
yes,
and we can still experience the joy, experience
yes,
the elevation, but still remain kind of in this equilibrium,
yes,
of
yes.
contentment and gratitude for that
Mhm.
which we have. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I'll tell you, to add to what you just said, is it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when me and my wife was actually going through it, we didn't actually look down on the situation. We
Uh-huh.
both sat back, we talked it out. We still laughed and joked about the whole thing the entire
Yeah.
time. It was
Yeah.
crazy. I had never
Yeah.
experienced that with any
Uh-huh.
other person in my past.
Uh-huh.
I tell you, once we mapped it out and saw exactly how we were going to do it, it was like,
Mm.
okay, we know what mistakes we made. We know what we need to do. Let's just go for it. And we've
Yeah.
been going for it ever since.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so good, man. Hey, it's something that I think you and I have in common is that we navigate life through expression. And for you, it's poetry. For me, I've been a singer-songwriter since I was 15, and this is my therapy. When I'm
Yes.
experiencing something and I need to do my therapy to move through that, I need to express it so it comes out in
Yes.
poetry and song. And
Yes.
um and I'm really looking forward to going and listening to and reading some of your words, man.
Hey, same here, man. Same here. I definitely want to check out some of your work. I love it to hear the collaborations between singer-songwriters and poets, because I feel like there's a lot of energy that between the two of us that we can actually put something out there in the world that it makes everybody just like, wow, that is amazing. That is so nice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I see it sometimes, like my performance in Georgia.
Mm.
It's so crazy. This company had called me. I didn't know how they got my number or anything. I think they got it off of social media, but
Yeah.
it's called the Apache Cafe there in Atlanta, Georgia. They
Uh-huh.
contact me on my cell phone. I was just walking down the street getting ready to go somewhere. I forgot where I was going, but
Yeah.
I'm like, who might this be? And they like, this is Apache Cafe. This is the manager for Apache Cafe. We want you to come down and perform. We were watching some of your stuff. We done heard people talking about you throughout the neighborhood. I was like, really? I'm like, okay. No
Yeah.
problem. When do you want me to come? So I went down there. I'll never forget. It was a Wednesday night because that
Yeah.
was like open mic night. So I went on the open mic night. After I got finished performing, I got a standing ovation. The manager
Uh-huh.
came to the front of the crowd and he was like, "Hey, I got somebody I want you to meet." And I was like, very skeptical
Yeah.
because of the simple fact that in Georgia they have a lot of um, gay men,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not with the program, so I'm like, I don't know what to think. And plus, I was pretty new to Georgia at
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
I don't know. And oh, he's like, you're not from here, right? And I was like, no, I'm not. And
Yeah.
he was like, trust me, it's not that kind of party. I just
Uh-huh.
got somebody I want you to meet. And I said, I promise you, you're gonna love this person. I promise you.
Uh-huh.
So I was
Yeah.
like, okay. It gave me the reassurance that it wasn't, on that level. So I'm fine. I went to the
Yeah.
back room with him and boom, in there I read, standing in the back room. I was like, oh my
Wow.
goodness. Are you serious?
Wow. Wow. Awesome.
I was tripping out like, what in the world? Are you serious?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But it was a
Oh, so
beautiful
good, man.
experience that day. That was a
Yeah.
beautiful experience. I couldn't stop thinking about that all day. There was nothing that could make me upset, angry, or anything that day. That day, when I got that surprise, that was like, okay, if I'm going to
Yeah.
get these type of surprises, then I'm pretty sure there's more to come. And yes,
Uh-huh.
it was.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the more you put yourself out there and the more you have the courage to step into the unknown, the more you have the courage to step into your uncomfort zone,
Hmm.
then the more surprises that you're gonna, the more possibilities you're gonna be open to. If you walk into each day with an open heart and an open mind, you're
Hmm.
gonna be open to way more beautiful surprises and possibilities than if you're walking around fearful and closed.
Exactly.
You
That's
know,
true. That's
so
true.
that's cool, man. And when like expressing yourself through your poetry is one thing, but then the next step is to go and share that, to
Hmm.
stand up on stage and share that. I remember this time because I used to write songs and poetry and not share them, when I was younger, and I didn't share them because I thought no one wants to hear my stuff.
Hmm.
No one, and also all of my songs and my poetry are very personal. It's
Hmm.
it's like it's an open book.
Okay.
And I also thought, oh, I don't want to share my stuff. People don't need to know this about me, or people won't be interested, or whatever.
Hmm.
Anyway, I was in this city in India called Varanasi, and it's this holy city, and the city is on the banks of the Ganges, the big holy river, and it's the city where Hindus devout Hindus go there to die. It's if
Oh,
you
wow.
if you can die in Varanasi, they believe it's direct portal to nirvana, right? So it's a direct portal to
Okay.
heaven. So
Okay.
pilgrims actually go there to die there, and they have these big festivals, and people are bathing in the river, and it's a very amazing, amazing city.
Wow.
Anyway, I was there, and my sister was there, and we were sitting on a boat on the banks of the river one night, and we
Hmm.
were drinking tea and with some local sadhus, the sadhus with the long
Yes.
dreadlocks.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with that. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So we're sitting on this boat with these sadhus, and I had this song that I'd written about my brother, because my brother had become a father when he was 21 years old. He became a father. And so, and I was living in London and he was living in Australia and I hadn't seen him. So I wrote him this song but I hadn't shared it with anyone.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I was sitting with my sister and I felt to share it with her. And I said, oh, look, I wrote this song for our brother. And I played her this song. And she said, oh my God, it's this beautiful song. I didn't even know you'd written this song. And, you know, has Chelly heard it, our brother? And I said, no, he hasn't heard it. And then she said to me, why don't you share your music? Why don't you share your poetry? And I said to her, well, no one wants to hear my stuff and it's not very good. And, you know, I had all these excuses.
Oh,
And
wow.
she said to me, and she called me out, man. She called me out. She went, you're being incredibly selfish. And I went, oh, what do you mean? And she said, you're being selfish because you're not sharing your gift.
Hmm.
And that is selfish of you. And when you share your music, when you share your words,
Hmm.
people aren't sitting there judging you. They're sitting there relating to it. They're sitting there
Yes.
assimilating it into their own stories, into their
Yes.
own life, into their own emotions. You
Yeah.
know, and she called me out on it. And from that day, I went, you know what? I should start sharing. And from that day, I started performing
That's
my
awesome.
music. Yeah, yeah.
That is awesome, man. Man, we can't keep these things away from the public. And it's not
Yeah.
only a selfish thing. And it took me a long time to realize that I wasn't being selfish. I was more concerned with being ridiculed for
Uh-huh.
saying the things that I talk about because I speak mostly in third person. I hardly
Uh-huh.
ever say anything about me or what's going on in my personal life, but I do speak on things that I've experienced pretty much over my entire life and things that I've seen, things that I've heard about. So the majority of my poems, like I literally have over 1,000 poems that I've written now, and
Uh-huh.
most of them are in third person, and
Yeah.
they're actually talking about experiences that I've had. But most people wouldn't see that because of the
Yeah.
way I title them and the way that I write them. They wouldn't know that these are experiences that I've had elsewhere.
Yeah.
Is nothing to do with me. And most people,
Yeah.
they'll see the poem, they'll read,
Uh-huh.
and they'll automatically assume, oh man, don't worry about it. You'll find somebody else. And I'm just like, I don't remember ever stating in my poem that this was about me.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
automatically assume that it's about me, and it wasn't. And it
yeah.
was until I had to actually put it out there publicly. I do not write about me or my personal life. I only
Uh-huh.
write about experiences. That's it.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Yeah.
when people finally start to look at my poems in a different light instead of automatically assuming that it was me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 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 yeah. And you know, it's interesting, man. I've got to a point now, and it was when I released my first book, because the book is full of real stories, true stories about me and my life, and then the communication, because the book is the art of conscious communication for thoughtful men. So it's a book around elevating our ability to communicate, and specifically written for men because men we get indoctrinated into a culture as boys in America and Australia and some other countries. We get indoctrinated into this culture as boys where we are told toughen up, man up, suck it up, hard
Yes.
up, don't cry
Yes.
like a girl, don't be a pussy, blah blah blah. Right?
Yep, that's so
So
true.
we teach our boys,
Hmm.
to amputate
Hmm.
their sensitive, vulnerable, emotional selves,
Hmm.
and you must just be tough, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So then what happens is that we, as boys, we grow up going, I gotta toughen up, and I gotta not be emotional and not be vulnerable. So therefore, I'm going to not access that part of myself, and then we become men, and our partners wonder why we struggle to communicate our emotions, right?
Hmm.
Anyway, so that's why I wrote the book. But in this book, I share, man. I share some of my deepest, darkest struggles and stuff, you know, and I do that because I want other men and people, anyone who reads it, to know that they're not alone,
Hmm.
right? Because a big part of my struggles in the past and I felt like I was the only one going through this, so I didn't talk about it with anyone, and I
Hmm.
carried this secret torture like a cross to bear, you know, and I didn't
Oh
tell
wow.
anyone about it. So I wanted people to feel like they're not alone. And so since this book came out a year ago, I got nothing to hide, man. Nothing. I
Exactly.
don't mind. I'll talk about any aspect of my life,
Yes.
really. And there's a liberation in that. And it's not about me anymore. It's
Mhm.
about how can I serve? What can I do to hopefully help other people in some way, any way, you know? And so this when we do this self-acceptance
Mhm.
work, then
Mhm.
it's not about me. It's not about being a narcissist. I'm not practicing self-love because all I care about is me. It's the
Mhm.
opposite.
Exactly.
I practice the self-love so that it doesn't need to be about me. So it can
Exactly.
be about serving, you know?
Yes, yes, indeed. Think about it like this. I come from a Native American background, and the first law of nature is self-preservation. So, in self-preservation, what a lot of people don't understand is if you don't know who you are, then how do you express that to somebody else?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah. It's so true.
that's how I intake what you were just talking about, and I totally get it. I totally
Yeah,
understand. And the thing with me is, although I don't necessarily express myself through my poetry, I do have a writing style that I created myself, and it's called
yeah.
expressions. So I
Uh-huh.
express myself through expressions, but I also
Yeah,
express myself when I'm talking to other people about relationship building because I do help people to rebuild and restore their relationships.
yeah,
But a lot of people don't understand that mostly everything that happens with the separation of people has come through some form of communication. Mostly
oh,
everything
yeah,
that happens
yeah,
with joining of people has come through some form of communication.
uh-huh. That's so
Without
true.
communication or the proper communication, then we'll
Yeah,
continue to be segregated as opposed
yeah.
to coming together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so true, man. So true. I completely believe this. And, you know, it's interesting because communication is the fundamental part of connection, collaboration, societal,
Mm,
community, working together. Because without communication, we can't do any of that.
that's
And
true.
without being able to work together, we wouldn't have survived as a species. We wouldn't have been able to evolve, right? The
Exactly.
reason that we managed to evolve as a species was
Mhm.
because we found ways to work together, right?
Yes,
And that you can't do that without communication.
that's
And
true.
because it's such a fundamental part of who we are,
Mhm.
um, I think it gets overlooked, and people don't even think, "Wow, I should be working on my communication." And they forget about that. And when our communication deteriorates, then you get the state of play around the world at the moment where people are being divided over
Mhm.
difference, divided over a difference, whether it's pro-life, pro-choice, or whether it's pro-vax, anti-vax, or whether it's
Mhm.
red or blue or black or white or whatever it is. There's this division, and then people are just shouting at each other, like
Yes.
they've got the caps lock on, and they're just shouting at each other on their keyboards. You know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, you are not helping humanity right now. You
Not at
know,
all. Not at
you
all.
know, and it's good to have your opinion for sure,
Hmm.
and it's good to have an idea. Great, that's great, and it's good if you feel like you want to help make the world a better place and you believe in some idea. Great, that's great,
Hmm.
but you're not actually going to help humanity if you've got your blinkers on and
Exactly.
you are closed-minded and you are just opinionated in and you're not listening
Yes.
because
Yes.
communication takes listening, yeah.
Yes,
And
indeed.
even you could bring this into a relationship. You could bring this into a marriage, two people who are married and in love with each other. If you
Yes.
are stuck on your idea, if you're stuck on
Yes.
being right and you're not
Yes.
listening, good luck with that. It ain't going to happen, man. You got to learn to lean in and get curious about the other person, right?
Yes, indeed. One of the things that I also talk about when I'm helping people to build different types of relationships is a lot of people ask me, one lady in particular just recently, she asked me, she say, how do you deal with the situation when you and your wife argue? I said, oddly, I can't say that me and my wife has argued because in 30 years, February the 4th made 30 years, we've never had an argument.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
mean we like all the same things? No, it does not mean we like all the same things.
No.
Does that
No.
mean that we're just alike? No, it does not mean that we're just alike. It's just
Yeah.
that when I say I like something and she say, nah, I don't really care for that. Instead of attacking
Yeah.
difference, I
Yeah.
question her difference. So
Yeah.
when she say, nah, I don't really like it, so I say, okay, well, help me understand why you don't like it, or what is it that you don't actually like about it.
That's the key words there. You said, help me understand.
Yes,
You
yes,
were curious. You wanted to understand.
yes.
It wasn't, let me tell you where you're wrong. You know?
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah, man. Hey,
exactly.
it's the same. It's the same. You know, me and my partner, we've only been together for 7 years, you know, because we
Okay,
both came out of 20-year marriages,
okay,
but we've been
awesome.
together for 7 years. We
Hmm.
don't argue. We
Yes,
don't argue. We don't fight. We've never once been mean to each other or verbally abusive. Not once, you know?
yay, thank you. Somebody else like us. Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's funny because when we came from our past marriages where there was, you know, there's arguments and fights and da da da, and we came into this relationship where we are kind and nice and
Yes,
considerate and loving and curious with each other all the time. And
yes,
after the first little while, we were scratching our heads going, are we supposed to fight? And I said, I don't know. I don't think so. Why, like, why? And then we were questioning, going, well, do you need to have this charge in the relationship so that the sexual charge stays on, right? So we still find each other attractive and we want to keep making love.
Mhm.
And I said, yeah, but let's see if we can still be physically attracted, sexually, emotionally, energetically attracted to each other. Let's see if we can keep that without fighting.
Yeah.
And we've done it, man.
Yes,
We've done it.
indeed. Yes,
We are so attracted to each other. She's the most beautiful woman in my world. Like
yes.
I've got the rose-colored glasses on, dude.
I am with you, Jim. Trust me, I am with you. Because my
Dude, I
wife
kid
is
you
the
not.
most beautiful woman in my world. I
In my
understand.
world, I kid you not. We were just at this music festival I was telling you about, right? Thousands of people. And we're walking around this festival, and I look around and I see lots of beautiful people.
Hmm.
I'm a heterosexual male, so I see women. And I
Hmm.
kid you not, I look and I look and I look and I look and I look. I do not see anyone as beautiful as my wife,
There you go. There you go.
right? So I've got
Yes,
these colors. I've got these. I don't, you know. Anyway, so back to the point is that you don't need to fight. You don't need to be horrible to each other. You don't need to shout at each other. You don't need to. It's not necessary.
necessary.
You can be kind and curious and loving and conscious together and
Yes.
still have this beautifully attracted relationship. You know.
Yes, indeed. There is no other way to be. Once you learn how to communicate with one another, you'll be
Yeah.
surprised at how far that can take you, especially
Yeah.
in your relationship with your marriage, in your relationships as a couple, in your relationships as a parent, your relationships as a friend, a colleague in business, or just a random meet. As long as
Yeah.
you know how to communicate, those relationships are always going to be at top level
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
know how to
Yeah.
communicate without the confrontation, without the egotistic, without the I-ness, and coming into everything with I want to understand, not
Uh-huh.
see it my way, see it my
Yeah.
way or else.
Yeah. It's so true. Hey, man, I was a year ago. I was lucky enough to be invited onto a TEDx stage, and
Mhm.
so I did my TEDx talk, and the TEDx talk is how conscious communication can change your game,
Mhm.
and
Yes,
exactly what you're just saying now. When
indeed.
you understand some of the key components to good communication, it can change your life, bro.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I learned
And
this
one of
in college.
yeah, and one of the points that I'm um, sharing in that talk is around consideration, being
Mhm.
considerate of
Yes,
others,
yes,
you know.
yes,
And there was a time, man, when I was in India. I spent a lot of time in India.
mhm.
I still do. I'm in India every year. It's my second home up in the Himalayan mountains. There's a little
Oh,
village up in there,
I've
tiny
seen
little
it.
village. with a
Yes.
family, and yeah, so that's my
Yes.
second home. But this one time I was crossing the border on foot. I was going to be walking from India into Pakistan.
Uh-huh.
This was back in 1998.
Okay.
So this was before 9/11, right?
Hmm.
Back in 1998. But before I walked across the border into Pakistan, I went into a tailor and I got traditional Pakistan clothes tailor-made for me,
Hmm.
like just the shirt and the trousers.
Cool.
And I learned how to say Assalamu alaikum. And I
Uh-huh.
learned how to say a few words in Urdu, their
Uh-huh.
language.
Uh-huh.
And I had a beard, and I dressed respectfully. And I
Yes.
walked into Pakistan and I made an effort to be respectful to their country. And
Yes.
man, I had the most beautiful time in North Pakistan. They were so hospitable. You know, they were so welcoming. I got taken into family homes and had family meals and looked after. And, you know, I had a really beautiful experience in North Pakistan. Why? Because I went in there respectfully, you know, and I was sitting on a bus one time with a young Pakistani man
Mm-hmm.
who was a devout Muslim.
Uh-huh.
I grew up as a Christian. I grew up going to church every Sunday as a Christian,
Okay.
but then as an adult, I decided to be not religious. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very spiritual, but I'm not religious.
Yes.
I was sitting talking with this man, and he spoke English because he was a university student, and we were talking about our differences. And I was trying to understand Islam,
Mm-hmm.
and he was curious about my spirituality, what were my beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said something, Yalo, that I will always remember. He said to me, if we cut your skin here and we cut my skin here, we have the same color blood.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
he looked at me and he said, you and me, we're the
Yes.
same.
Yes, indeed.
And I just
Yes,
went,
indeed.
that just says it all, man. That
I
just
just
says
did
it
a
all.
podcast before this. I just did a podcast yesterday with a group of ladies, the beautiful ladies.
Yeah.
They are called Echo. And
Uh-huh.
we actually talked about that same thing, that same scenario where if you look at us on the inside, we're all the same color. We're all the same
Yep.
thing. And I said if we strip away the labels, let's
Yeah.
not call each other black. Let's not call each other white. Let's not call each other um, yellow, brown, or
Yeah.
whatever. Let's not call each other any title.
Yeah.
What's the only thing that's left? Human.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's human.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you? You're a male human. What's the other one? She's a female human. What else do we really need to know
Yeah.
besides that when we start identifying one another as a
Uh-huh.
species? You have the male
Yeah.
species, the female species. That's it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have to care anything about any of the rest of those labels that people choose to put upon us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we choose to accept those. I personally, yes, I did the same thing that you did. I was brought up around Christianity, but I never
Uh-huh.
adopted Christianity as one of the things that I would follow or believe in. I
Yeah.
was always a believer in the Native American style of
Mm.
belief, which is nature. And that's
Yeah.
something that I follow even today. It's just
Yeah.
nature. There's nothing
Nature.
to do with nature. Then I pretty much don't dismiss it, but I try to understand why the other person feels so strongly or deeply about it.
Yeah.
Now, like you, we had this convention because I studied Islam for 17 years. And
Wow.
with the Nuwabian Moors when I studied it,
Uh-huh.
they had this big convention. Like, I mean, literally over 40,000 people came to this convention, and it was
Wow.
in Eatonton, Georgia. At the time, I was working at the Hartsfield, Atlanta airport. And at
Yeah.
the airport, there were so many. There were Pakistanis, there were Egyptians, there were people like literally from all over the world coming
Yeah.
into Georgia to go to this event. So when I
Uh-huh.
get the chance to meet some of the people, they were like, "Are you? Um, do you know?" Because I asked them, they was like, "Do you know where this is? Where that is?" I was like,
Mm.
"Yeah, sure." I told them how to get to Edenton, and they was like, "Oh man, how do you know about it?" I said, "What are you going for?" They said, "We're going for the convention with the new YBN Morris." I said, I too am a new YBN Moore. They was like, whoa, what? Are you
Uh,
serious? I was like, yes,
yeah.
I'm new YBN Moore. So they asked me, where am I as far as levels in
Uh-huh.
YBN Moores? And I studied with the new YBN Moores ever since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So I became what's known as an elder. When they saw that I was an elder, they was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" They was like getting down on their knees and like kind of like the same scenario in Coming to America, what they did to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Eddie
yeah.
Murphy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
literally know what that feels like now. And I
Right,
was like,
right.
no, 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 please don't do that. You don't have to do that. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Just I'm humbled to actually get to meet somebody that from
yeah.
a different country, from a different era than what I'm in. I'm happy about that. You don't have to do the whole bad. People look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
me, it's like, who are you? This is one lady. She was like, "Are you some type of king or something?" I said, "No, ma'am,
yeah.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm just an average human being." They was like,
Yeah,
"No, you're more than average," because they wouldn't have been bowing down to you if you were average. I
yeah,
said, "Trust me, I'm average. Let's
yeah,
not take
yeah.
it any further. Let's leave that alone."
Yeah,
But
yeah. Then,
it
and you
was,
know what, man? As much as they were bowing down to you, they actually weren't bowing down to you, Yalo. They were bowing down to the ideas in their mind
yes,
around respect and levels and
yes,
hierarchy and blah, 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 blah. It just happened
yes.
to be you that was standing there who'd done all this previous
Mhm.
study and learning and stuff. But
Yes,
it wasn't personal.
I
It
agree.
was bigger than that
I
for them.
agree. Trust
For
me,
them.
I agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. I know
Yeah.
exactly where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
100% agree. And that's what I had to make my coworkers understand that,
Mhm.
yes, I've been in it longer than they have. I've done things that they haven't done yet, but
Mm.
it's not me. It's the idea of
Yeah.
type of work that I put in there and the entities in which they have long known to respect. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Nothing to
Yeah.
do. Trust and believe. I'm just that image that happened to be standing before them. That's it.
Yeah, that's right, man. People, when people subscribe to ideas,
Hmm.
I don't believe that people are necessarily bad, right?
Yes.
I mean, apart from the medical condition of psychopath. So
Hmm.
if we, when some people are born and there's some wires loose and they're psychopaths, so
Hmm.
that's a very, very small minority. So let's just put
Yes.
them across to the side for a second. Everyone else, all of us, I
Hmm.
don't believe we're born bad. I believe that we are born into situations, and there's nurture, nature. We have some carryover and DNA and nurture, nature.
Hmm.
But we are born into an environment, and that environment has a lot to do with shaping us. And then we get told ideas. And if we subscribe to those ideas, they become our beliefs, and then they become the way we live our life, right? And some ideas are good ideas, as in they're good for you and they're good for the people around you and they're resourceful and sustainable. Some
Hmm.
ideas are not very good ideas, like
Agree.
the idea that if I strap explosives to myself
Yeah. Yeah.
and run into a public place
Yeah.
and blow myself up and kill people, then
Yeah.
I'm going straight to heaven. That idea is a bad idea,
I
right? It's
don't
not a good
understand how.
idea.
And
But
I would like to understand their mentality for thinking that that's going to send them straight to heaven. I would like to
yeah,
understand
and it's
that.
so I don't feel anger towards the person.
Hmm.
I feel remorse and frustration and sadness towards the idea.
Hmm.
you know,
Yes.
that
Yes.
that kid that kid didn't know any different. It's like if there was a child who was born in Sierra Leone,
Hmm.
right, and they grew up and their family were horribly treated. I don't want to go into it, but horrible what these kids go through. And
Yes.
then at the age of 11 years old, they get a machine gun put in their hands and they say, now you will go out and take revenge and da da da. They
Mhm.
get sold on all these bad ideas.
Yes.
And then you end up with a 14-year-old boy who runs around with a machine gun killing people. He
Mhm.
wasn't born evil. If that
No.
kid was born in Melbourne, Australia, and he was raised in a different environment, he would be fine.
Yes.
you know so
Yes.
i so I think once we remove this idea that there's evil people, there's not evil, there's just really, really bad ideas. And I
Mhm.
think so then we can be more compassionate, then we can
Yes.
come from a place of love and say, what can we do together to make the world a better place.
Yes.
Right? How can we get better ideas? Do you know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. Those guys who did that though, I actually asked them to just stand up. I said, you don't have to do that. I gave them a hug and I was like, man, many blessings on your journey.
Yeah.
Just make it there safely. You know what I'm saying? Have fun and then make it back home safely. And those were my words to each and every one that I actually spoke to going across that airport. Because I had
Beautiful.
to come later. I had to come much later. I didn't have a
Beautiful.
chance to go when they went. I had to work.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. That's so nice. That's lovely.
But that's the way I look at things. I look at life as there are positives and there are negatives, but you have to understand that without negatives, there's no positive. Without positive, there's no negative. So you look at balance, and that's the key to me is balance. If we take our negatives and take them as learning experiences, or let me rephrase that. If we can take what we perceive, because just because I perceive it as a negative doesn't mean the next person perceives it as a negative. So if we can take what we perceive as a negative and what we perceive as a positive and create a balance amongst that, we can walk differently. We can live differently. We can have better objectives, better ideas, better understandings. And that would take our levels of communication. And at this point, when I'm talking about communication, I'm talking about our body language, the way that we look, the way that we think, the way that we speak, the way that we dress. It's just different things about us that says something different to each and every person that we come across. So our communication would be on a higher vibration. That's where we want to be. We want to be on a higher vibration.
That's where we want to be. Life's easier there. You know, when you start to experience this higher vibration, and which is an elevated consciousness, when you start to figure out some daily habitual practices that mean that you're spending time there, life just gets easier, man.
It does,
doesn't it?
It really does. Yes,
it gets easier, you know. And it's, to anyone who wants to listen, I want to share how to do that. That's my mission, you know. My mission is to help make lives easier, to help people access more flow, you know, and that creates the quote unquote successful life. You know, when I say success, I don't mean being a millionaire. That's not what I'm talking about. There are plenty of millionaires who are miserable.
That's
it's not about it. Just about how you can live a life of contentment and gratitude and joy and grace, you know. I mean, I know you know this, but
hey, but there are some people in our audiences who don't know, so we still have to say what we need to say in order to convey a message that is beneficial to everybody. Everybody.
So if I can share for your audience, man, if I can share just a couple of practical how-tos, like just some practical, easy to implement steps that will make it easier to elevate and experience an easier life. And I know we've heard this before, but it's true, man. A daily practice of gratitude out loud. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for the simple things. I'm grateful I have love in my life, or I'm grateful I have a roof over my head, or I'm grateful I have some food right now, or I'm grateful I have some clothes on my back. You know, the things I'm grateful for, that's one. Now, affirmations, positive affirmations, I used to think that they were just woo-woo kind of hippie stuff, right? But now the neuroscience and the fMRIs and us understanding our brains and neurology and how it all works, we're starting to understand how neurons wire together, quote unquote, but we can create a pathway, very literally in our thinking, a pathway that becomes an automatic reflex thought, which becomes a belief, and you can create that just with repetition. So if you say out loud every day, I am good enough, or I am enough, or I live into my potential, or I'm healthy, I am positive, I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful. You say this over and over and over again, you start to believe it.
Yes.
And then what happens, which is fascinating, when you believe something, you filter the information from the outside world. So your perception of life changes. So
Mm-hmm.
your reality of life changes.
Yes.
Yeah. And you start to attract to you that which you believe.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the simple steps: gratitude each day, some mindfulness meditation each day, just a couple of minutes, some positive affirmations each day, some positive self-talk. Be kind to yourself. Use the words, I deserve love, you know, I
Yeah.
accept myself, I love myself,
Yeah.
I am enough, and you say these things every day, and you watch what happens over the next couple of years. Your life starts to change.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree, Joe. No doubt about
Mm,
that. I think that with that, if we take particular timing, like let's say, for example, people who know themselves, they understand their time span. They understand their attention span. So
mm,
let's say like you have someone that I know personally who has ADHD.
yeah,
I would say something that's positive to them and tell them, okay, this is something that you need to practice, something that you should say all the time. And he started doing it. You know what I'm saying? He started doing it. And once he started doing it, he would only do it for maybe a couple of seconds.
yeah,
But that couple of seconds turned into minutes. And
uh-huh,
now it's more of a repetitious thing now than what it was before.
yeah,
It
yes,
hardly anything would keep his attention. But I told him, just try this as an experiment and let's see where it takes you. And I kid you not, to this day, he
yeah,
continues to say these affirmations to himself. And it
uh,
has helped him to better his life because he was having a hard time keeping a job and now he keeps one.
uh-huh,
He's having a
uh-huh,
hard time studying and now he studies better. So
yeah,
just
yeah,
putting a few things into someone's life as far as learning, as far
yeah,
as studies, as far as teachings, putting a
yeah,
few things in their life has taken him to a level in his life that has made him successful
yeah,
in ways
yeah.
he was never successful before.
I love that. I love that. I
Indeed.
love that. Man, I heard a podcast the other day. They were interviewing Dr. Martin Seligman, who is the psychologist in America who first came up with positive psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out something, and this comes from data. This is not just made up. This is evidence from research.
Mm-hmm.
That even if you're born, some people are born more negative, more pessimistic, and some
Mm-hmm.
people are born naturally more optimistic. They look at the silver lining.
Yes.
If you're born and you're naturally more negative or pessimistic, you can change that.
Yes, you can.
You can
Indeed.
change the wiring
Yes.
with affirmations each day.
Yes.
I'm positive. I'm going to look for what's possible rather than what's not possible
Mm-hmm.
each day. When I come across a challenge in my life,
Mm-hmm.
rather than looking at everything that I can't do now and getting all, I'm actually going to sit down with a piece of paper, say, and
Mm-hmm.
write down what could be possible. And I'm going to
Yes.
shift my attention to something optimistic, something hopeful. And if you do that over time, over time, over time, you actually start to become naturally optimistic.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I,
Yes.
and I thought that's so wonderful, because it doesn't mean that you're stuck like that. It means you can
Yes.
actually create change.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. There's one
Yeah.
thing I learned in college because I took 4 years of psychology myself, and
Uh-huh.
here in the center of your
Yep.
head, there is a gene that I mean, not a gene, but a cell that actually
Uh-huh.
ignites belief.
Right.
It's the
Right.
first place where most of us start to ball that is right in that area.
To
So
go
that's
bald
the place where we normally
like
go
this.
ball at. Yeah, yeah. That's where it ignites. Yep.
I call it my solar panel. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. So, So when we ignite our belief, it's actually stemming here.
Uh-huh.
When we start to change it, it's the changes actually start here and it
Uh-huh.
works its way back up
Yeah.
to the brain to where
Right.
the cell is. And
Uh-huh.
once it starts to do all of the balances and imbalances and put them into place where they need to be, then it starts to travel. That signal starts to travel right back down and it
Wow.
goes right back into the full body and comes
Uh,
back up again. And it just keeps going until you
uh-huh.
decide to change it again.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow,
That's
man,
something
you
I
studied
learned.
psychology for 4 years as well. You've packed a lot into your life.
Yes, I am.
How did you? And I bet you actually have more years than your looks give off. You know, you look like a young man.
How old do you think I am? I'm
Well,
not afraid to say.
okay, so now this is there's two different questions here. How old do you look, or how old do I think you are after having a conversation with you for a while? Because after having a conversation with you for a while, I think you must have at least 50 years experience. But if you ask me how old I think you look, I'd be going somewhere between 35 and I don't know, about 35 to 40.
I get that a lot, 35 to 40. I get that a lot. I
Yeah,
thank
go on,
you.
tell me.
But I
Tell
kid
me.
you not, I turned 51 in 2022.
Were you born in 1971?
Yes.
Me too, man. Me
Also,
too,
also
1971. What month in 1971?
September 7th.
Man. I've only got a couple of months on you, brother. I'm June. I'm in June.
Awesome, awesome.
Nice. But I've got more grays than you. I don't know why. That's cool.
I got some. They just creeping
Uh,
up slowly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome, brother. So we're the same age. I love that.
Yes, indeed. I've been around for a while. I've been around the block, and I choose
Yeah.
to spend a lot of time studying,
Uh-huh.
researching, because I am literally what's called a learn fanatic.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I am
Yeah.
a learn fanatic. If I am not learning something every day,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Yeah.
not doing what I'm meant to do.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Me too, man. That's part of my purpose in life, my deepest
Mhm,
purpose. In fact, my meaningful life to me on the deeper level
mhm,
is to live wholeheartedly,
mhm.
right? So I to live and give all of myself to life,
Indeed.
um, t- to learn open-mindedly,
Yes.
and that's important to me because naturally as humans we get closed-minded. We have an idea on how we think things are and how things should be, and our natural default is to defend that and stick to that. So it
Yes.
takes conscious awareness to keep remembering, oh,
Yeah.
open my mind.
Yes.
You know,
And
so I always want to learn till the day I die. I hope I'm learning
yes.
open-mindedly, And then the last part is to give and receive generously, to give and
Yes,
receive
indeed.
generously,
Yes.
because we are a part of the greater system. We're not separate from it.
Mm,
Our ego would have us believe that I'm separate. I'm this separate entity moving
yes.
through the world,
Yes.
but I'm not separate. You and I are of the same thing. We're
We're
of, like you said in
far
the
from
nature,
separate.
we're of,
Yes.
we're of the land.
Yes. Yes. We're
Yeah.
far from separate. As long as there is a such thing as energy, we
Uh-huh.
can never be separate.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we are one.
I
Absolutely.
mean, we don't just we don't just start here where we were um physically born, not where we were born, but where we were physically born. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
true birth is existence. And once
Uh-huh.
we come into existence, then we
Uh-huh.
start going into other things. We came
Yeah,
into humanity, and then we'll
yeah,
go right back into
yeah,
existence all over again. And we
yeah.
will have learned something different from in our physical form to take back into existence.
Existence.
And then
Yeah,
we'll start over doing something else. Most
yeah.
people think that once you leave the body, that's it. But how is that possible when there's a such thing as spirits? there's a such thing as energy, there's a
Yeah.
such thing as spiritual belief, there's a such thing as higher powers. How is it possible that you're done once you
Yeah.
leave
Yeah.
this body? It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to me.
Man, another way of looking at the same thing is that our physical body, every cell in our physical body regenerates into new cells
Hmm.
in the average lifetime. So say the average life is 80 years old, 80 to 90 years old. Every single physical cell in our body regenerates about 7 times over.
Yes,
So from when you are born to when you die, your whole physical body is not the same 7 times over. So
exactly.
what carries through? It's the energy.
It's the
What
energy.
carries through? Because the energy and the information, the DNA information that's coded into our bodies so that each cell knows what to do again and again and again and again.
Yes,
That information carries through, but that information is not a physical thing.
it's
It
not.
translates from physical to physical, cell to cell to cell, but our physical body is different. Do you know what I'm saying, right? So
Yes, I
it's
do.
got
Yes,
to be the energy that comes through. The energy doesn't stop when you die. I don't know if you've ever sat with someone when they've passed. I sat with my father.
I
I've
said
sat
with
with a
my
few people
grandmother.
when they passed, yeah.
Yeah.
And I sat with my father, with my mother and my siblings, and we sat with my father from this body to the
Hmm.
alt, everything again, the passing. It's the most amazing experience because you can feel the energy come
Yes,
from the physical
yes,
body and you feel it dissipating and
yes,
becoming part of the everything
yes,
energy all over again.
yes,
Remarkable, isn't it? And
yes. You feel the
wow.
you feel the molecular structures starts to come in and dissipate, come in and dissipate. And
Mm.
sometimes depending upon your connection with that person, you can feel it come in and dissipate multiple times as opposed to
Uh-huh.
just that once.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Life is beautiful and death is a part of life. And as much as death hurts, it's death and life, like you said before, positive, negative, masculine,
Yes,
feminine, day, night, life, death.
indeed. Yes,
Death is
indeed.
actually really beautiful.
But one of the things I learned from esoteric language. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a extraterrestrial language, and
Uh-huh.
government officials and things of that nature, they actually get a chance to learn about esoteric language firsthand. But
Uh-huh.
the esoterians say that we don't die because that's where I got the whole analogy from. They say we
Yeah.
don't die, we transfer. They
Yeah.
say each person transfer from one place to the next. Each time they leave, they going on to that next place that was already pre-planned for them to go in the first place.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So to have that transfer, that's why, like when my grandmother passed, the only problem that I had with her passing was that I was gonna miss her as I
Yeah.
knew her.
Yeah, that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
not so much as the type of person that she was here, as long as she was here, those things, yes, we deal with that accordingly as the person is what we see as alive, as they're alive, we deal with that while they're here. But then once
Mm,
they transfer over, it's not that we lose connection with them, it's
mm,
how you choose to keep in
mm.
contact with them because
Yeah.
you still have that energy
Yeah. Yeah.
regardless if they're
How
here
you
or
choose.
not. You
Yeah, and
still
you
have
get some
the energy.
choice. You can have
Yes,
some choice in that.
yes, indeed.
That's beautiful, man.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
beautiful. And it's almost like, you choose to a certain degree, you choose your version of reality.
Hmm.
You get to choose that because there's so much of the great mystery. And the great mystery is that there is so much that we can never objectively understand because we can only understand anything through our human perspective. And our
Hmm.
human perspective is very limited.
Hmm.
And so even if with science, even science, as we're trying to understand how the mechanics of the universe work, and
Hmm.
we can understand things amazingly, but as soon as we try and translate that knowledge into a human understanding. It's limited to our perspective.
Yeah.
So I love the great mystery, because it means that in India we say sab kuch milega, sab
Mm.
kuch milega. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. Yes.
Anything is possible. And so if someone comes to me and they have their beliefs about what happens after we pass from this body, this human body, into energy, someone
Mm.
comes to me and says, I believe this. I say, beautiful,
Yes. Yes.
beautiful. Does that belief help you live your best life now? Does that belief help you live a good life now? That's what's important to me,
Yes.
not whether it's true or not. I can't prove whether it's true or not. None of us can. It's more important about how are you waking up today? The beliefs you have around spirituality, the beliefs you have around quote unquote God,
Mm.
right? Those beliefs, are they helping you live your best life today? Are they helping you contribute to the lives of others in a beautiful way today? That's
Exactly.
what's important, you know?
Exactly. Are you actually um giving off that connection, that immerse energy? Are you giving that back, putting some of that back into the cosmos, into the quantum realm, into
Yeah,
existence? Are you putting some of that energy back? Because if
yeah,
you're trying to hold on to all of that energy, then
yeah.
you're not helping society. You're not helping the existence of energy to transfer and circulate
Uh-huh.
the way that it's supposed to. You have to give back.
So well said, man. That is so well said. It's so true.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, beautiful,
Man,
beautiful. It
this
was really a pleasure to have a conversation with you, man.
man, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is definitely something that needed to happen. It needed
Yeah,
to
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. And interesting, you know, when when you were saying then about the transfer, if you try and hold everything back, you're blocking the transfer and the flow of the energy. Then, as much as in that, conversations like this, when we talk about important things, these
Mhm.
conversations are important because it's the energy's flowing, and it's not just flowing between you and me, it's flowing outwards from both of us as well. And so this is a contribution. When
Yes.
we have good conversations, it's a contribution. And we should talk about the tricky stuff. We should talk about the stuff that's hard to understand. We should talk about the important stuff. We should talk about love. We
Yes.
should talk about
Yes,
communication,
indeed. Yes,
connection.
indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. And these are the things that I actually teach my sons. One of my
Uh-huh.
sons came to me and he said, man, my girl, she did me wrong. She did me bogus. And he was like, man, I cried like a little girl. I was like, what do you mean you cried like a little girl? He was like, no man's supposed to sit there and cry with no female. We don't do nothing like that. I said, so is that something that I taught you? And he was like, nah. He said, nah. He said, as a matter of fact, the more I think about it, you never said anything like that. I was like, oh, so okay. So now I feel like that as a man and as a father, that you failed to come to me and talk to me about what was going on so that I could actually enlighten you, as opposed to you having that assumption on your head that a man is not supposed to cry. Where did you get that from? I said, many men cry. I've cried many times.
Mm,
If there
mm,
is a necessity for that to happen, then it
mm,
must happen. You have
mm.
to release certain energies that you have no control of in order for you to grow. That's what
Yeah,
you gotta understand. It doesn't make
yeah,
you weaker, it makes you
yeah.
stronger. Because if
Stronger.
you're not growing from the experiences that you're having in your life, then you'll
Yeah,
continue to repeat them until you
yeah,
actually learn from them. And then you graduate. Once you learn, you graduate to the next level in your life,
yeah,
not the
yeah,
next level in life, because that's the misconception right there. You
yeah,
graduate to the next level in your life,
yeah,
because it's up to you to elevate your life. It's not up to everybody else to elevate your life. We can
yeah,
be here for you as a
yeah,
guide, but
yeah,
if you don't take that energy in,
yeah,
cycle that energy, put
yeah,
the energy back out into the universe and
yeah,
grow from it, It
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. That's why expression is so important.
Yes, yes,
Because you're expressing is the giving back of the energy,
yes.
It's so cool, man. There was one time many years ago when we have a shrine for my
Hmm.
brother and my father, and it's on the top of a cliff over the ocean. I live by the ocean. And
Beautiful.
so it's up on top of this cliff, and we have some stones that at the funeral, we had everybody find a special stone and write a word on that stone.
Okay.
Whatever my brother meant to you, you write a word on the stone. So we had hundreds of stones, and we made a shrine on top of this cliff. And so every year on his anniversary, we go and sit in the shrine. And we sat there, and I was walking back, and one of my sons at the time was small. I think he was maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Hmm.
And we were walking back to the car, and I was crying.
Hmm.
And my son looked up at me, and he saw me crying, and he said to me, he said, "Dad, I understand why we cry." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "We cry because you are taking the sadness and the grief that you feel inside, and you are releasing it back out of you, out through the tears. It's like an expression."
Oh,
He said to me,
wow. That is awesome.
when our little people have these
Yes,
words of wisdom, and I
yes.
just went, "Wow, man, you got it."
That is
And like you
awesome.
said, it's connection to the outside world, because the tears are a
Mm.
physical thing. This liquid comes out with all of this emotional energy in it and drops into the earth, and the earth takes it in, and we are one, right?
We're replenishing it all over again. It's kind of
Yeah,
like the and I said this too to the Echo team that I interviewed yesterday. I said
yeah,
it's kind of like what why can't I remember the king's name on Lion King, where he said to
yeah,
Simba, he said,
yeah.
everything that we do goes right back into the great circle of life. He said,
That's
the
right.
lions eat the armadillos, the zebras, they eat these other animals that their souls, their bodies go back into the earth. And then
Yeah,
you have the animals that eat the grass and stuff like that. They eat the stuff that comes from the earth, and then we
yeah,
do it all over again. He says all the part of the great circle of life.
yeah. It's true. Yeah, it's true.
Like,
Yeah.
what can I say, man? What can I say? Man, this was meant to happen. This is meant to happen. Oh my goodness. And I love it when I was reading some of your stuff and you were saying I'm on a mission to help create habitual perspectives and practices. That is a mission of a lifetime. And I can tell from some of the things that we actually talked about here that you are definitely on the right path.
Mm,
Definitely.
thank you. Yeah, it
Yeah,
feels that way.
you are on the right path. I mean, there's nothing better than having that connection and having all of these different energies and different types of energies and different types of communications come together as an entity that can be given back only not only to other people, but it also gives back to the cosmos. It gives back to life. It gives back to the growth and development of humanity. I mean, there is nothing greater than that. And I'm getting
Mm,
goosebumps even talking about
yeah,
like
yeah. If
it's
that's not if
vital.
that if that's not the meaning to life, then I don't know what is, right?
Oh, I know, right? I know, right? It's vital. It is. It's vital.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
So
yeah.
tell me this before we get out of here. What are some of the most vital keys that you give when you're coaching to the people so that the audience can know what's going on?
Radical self-acceptance. Radical self-acceptance. And what I mean by that is, I'm not talking about have I made it? I haven't made it. You haven't made it. Obviously, if every day you're alive, you're still on a journey somewhere. And will I continue to learn and evolve and grow and improve? I hope so. Yeah. So that's the future. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is right now, in this moment, you are exactly who you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
Apparently,
Yes.
because there you are. There you are, right? So
True.
you can argue with reality as much as you want. You can go, yeah, but I should be taller, or I should be smarter, or I should be richer, or I should be. Well, no, you're arguing with reality.
Yeah.
Let's stop arguing with reality. Let's just come to a beautiful place of radical self-acceptance. Everything that happened in the past, the good, the bad, the ugly, the hard, the easy, all of it.
Mhm.
Apparently, it should have happened.
Yes.
Why? Because it did. And
Exactly.
so here I am in this moment, right here with myself and with you and with life. And apparently, I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to stop arguing with reality. I'm just going to come to full radical self acceptance and self love, self okayness. Right? If
Yes.
you can have a daily practice every morning, wake up and say, I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. I'm a
Mhm.
good person. I'm enough. You just say this every morning, part of your daily routine.
Yeah.
If that's the one takeaway you have from this, dude, I'll bump into you in a year from now and you'll say, man, I heard you on that podcast and I started my daily practice of self-acceptance and self-love, and my life has become so much better.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is such a blessing, Jim. No doubt. It is such a blessing. I think the determination for us to be able to connect, it was definitely not something of our own, not just of our own. I feel
Yeah,
like the universe knew that we needed to share not only ourselves, but share our energy and give off that additional energy to help the universe and help humanity grow. And
yeah,
that's what I truly feel that we have done today in this podcast.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you.
Yes, indeed. I feel like we've done that today. And
Beautiful.
I think the universe will definitely appreciate us, definitely appreciate us for what we're doing and what we have done and the things that we will continue to do. I think the
Yeah.
universe appreciates that. And
I
part of knowing that that appreciation is there is the fact that we are here, we're solid, we're in good health, we're in the best relationships that we've ever been our entire lives.
Yeah,
We got happy families, happy children, and we
yeah,
ourselves are happy, which ignites a stronger and a higher frequency of neurons than we've possibly ever come into in our entire lives. Yes, my friend. Yes, my friend. So I
yeah,
truly
yeah,
thank you, Jim. This has been a blessing, man. This has been a true blessing. I am going
yeah.
to, I'll definitely want you to please let everybody know where they can meet you, where they can get on board with some of your information, some of your writings, teachings, everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come follow me on Insta. I post on Insta every day. It's Jem Fuller, JEMFULLER, Jem Fuller. On Insta, the link tree link in my bio takes you everywhere. You can watch my TEDx talk, you can get my book, you can jump on my website. Everything I do is on my website. You can reach out to me, you can DM me. If you DM me or email me through my website, I'll get back to you and let's connect. Um, yeah, and Yalo, I just want to say to you, man, namaste. And namaste means I see you.
I see you.
I
Yes,
see,
namaste.
like in Avatar. Yeah, like
Yes,
in Avatar. I
yes,
see you,
yes.
we properly connect. Namaste, bro.
Namaste, my brother. Thank you so much. Man, Jim, this has been the most uplifting podcast I've had. This has been. And
Wow.
I am truly, truly grateful to have finally got a chance to talk to you and meet with you. This has been more than just a blessing. This has been cosmic energy constantly flowing left and right, up and down, in a full circle, however you want to take it. This has been that. So I truly thank you, my friend.
Yeah,
Everybody, Jim Fuller, please go and check out Jim Fuller's information. Check out the website. Check out his book. Check him out on social media. Like, subscribe, and definitely hit that button where you can actually get all the notifications for when Jem is coming on. Thank you so much, Jem. Peace and blessings to you, my friend.
You too, brother.
Out of here.
See
Namaste,
ya.
my friend.